In a world where digital currencies reign supreme, one cryptocurrency is poised to redefine the game, no? Litecoin's resurrection and resurgence is coming, and the Litecoin forecast is your 24/7 guide to riding this silver surge. Join us as we stream continuously, analyzing every move, discussing macroeconomic trends, what's driving this bull market, what narratives will come into play as we move higher, and what we'll be watching for signs of a broad market top T. The Litecoin forecast illuminating the path to redemption, hosted by Litecoin, joining us now.
All right, I'm back. Hopefully that didn't lose a lot of people since we just started a new stream, but I felt like the title was wrong and it wouldn't let me change it. So that's why we decided to restart this with Nick, but it looks like quite a few people made it back. We'll wait a little bit. Nick's in the room now, but I'll wait and give him a few minutes. This is going to be pretty informal. We just had an interview with Johnny Litecoin, who was mainly focused on the fundamental side, the real world stuff, and now we'll get more of an expert technical analyst in here to give us his perspective. Again, like I was saying before, Nick's been posting some pretty bullish Litecoin charts recently. I liked his comparison with silver chart that I saw a few months back. So we'll get his perspective, maybe on the lower and higher time frames for Litecoin. Like I was saying, and it's kind of aligning with what Rickus had been posting about, was that this next major move, should we break 140, likely takes us to at least 185 or so. It's kind of the next area of resistance we were mapping out. And hopefully we can get that move similar to XLM and XRP quickly in the next few weeks back to all-time highs, as long as Bitcoin and the broader market hold up here. But it will be cool to see if Nick's opinion differs from that. I'll message him real quick and see if he's ready to go now. Let's see if there's only about 40 people in here, so it seems like we lost half. Hopefully some more people can join in. Okay, it looks like Nick's ready. We'll add him to the room. Hey Nick, how's it going?
Hey, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thanks so much for coming on. I know this was sort of just today, last minute. You had a lot of other stuff going on, so I appreciate you taking the time.
Not a problem, dude. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, what time is it for you? Are you on the West Coast?
Yeah, I'm in California, so 5:56. So it's not bad. My wife's picking up my daughter right now, so they'll be back, and shoot, they might be a little loud, so hopefully they don't make too much noise.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah.
Oh, no worries. How do you like living out in California?
It's cool. I mean, the cost of living's really high, but beyond that, I mean, it's hard to beat the weather. What about you? Where are you at?
I'm in Puerto Rico because I moved here prior to this bull market cycle, expecting some major moves. So I thought it was the right thing to do.
For the tax purposes?
Yeah, primarily, and then I like the lifestyle out here. It's actually pretty nice. I think it's gotten a lot better these last like 5-10 years. There's a lot of people have been moving over here, bringing their money, and really like developing infrastructure, housing. It's really like living in the U.S. I have kind of all the same things right around me.
How old are you? You sound really young.
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm younger than I actually am. I'm 32.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm 35. I'm pretty close.
Okay, you sound similar too. I based on your voice, I would think you were a little bit younger, but we just have young sounding voices, which is not a bad thing.
No, that's true.
Perfect. Cool. How long? I'm curious. How long have you been involved in the crypto space?
Let me think. I got involved. Let me pull up a chart real quick so I could see. When Bitcoin pulled back originally from like 60 something thousand to what was it, like 29?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
That's when I finally bought in, but I hated it up until that point because I was from traditional finance markets and I couldn't stand it. Like I thought it was a scam. I had buddies that I worked with that were doing well. And then I watched Bitcoin go up forever, and then when it pulled back, and I was charting in, I saw like a good technical level. That's when I bought in. But I held the whole bear market. It's not like I did well that past bear. Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting. I think that's kind of the same story for most people. They hear about it, kind of think it's a scam. Almost all of my in real life friends thought the same, and then the price goes up, and you're like, wait, I should check this out. My background's similar from like traditional finance. And I heard about it a bunch of times. I was looking at it in college in like 2014, but then finally in like late 2016, I was like, okay, I should check this out. So similar story, I think, to almost everyone. I bet like 90% of people have a similar.
Yeah, you know what?
experience.
I had been charting for a long time prior to that. Since like 08 is when I originally got into the market, which I originally got into like penny stock pump and dumps. But when I fully like got into the market, I kind of threw out everything I had learned from traditional markets out the window, which I shouldn't have. And there's a guy, what is it, Trading Mastery, Jordan, I forgot his name, Jordan Lindsay. He had like this model where it basically was overlaying fractals, I believe, of the different bull cycles. And I fully bought into it, and I thought it was like this different thing, and I threw all this knowledge I had previously out the window, and I bag held a bunch of stuff on the way down.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, no, fortunately I didn't sell. I bought a lot more, and I'm doing well now. But I mean, now I just go off my own stuff. I don't ever copy anybody, and
for sure.
I think that's the best way to go.
100%. I would agree. I think it's interesting because it kind of ties into the idea of like institutions potentially buying the top of the cycle. It seems like that happens to professional traders even that have been doing this for a long time. They get into crypto. It's like this new thing, and they sort of forget everything they learned trading other markets.
Like it's like this magical internet money, and they just I know, I did the same thing.
SoftBank did that in 2017, I think. Like they bought the top, like at peak $20,000 Bitcoin price in 2017.
I kind of have a similar theory as that, but I don't think it's like the institutions. I think it's more like they'll be pushing a lot of crypto this cycle, and a lot of boomers will buy our bags. That's what I think.
For sure. Yeah, I would agree with you.
Our parents will be the ones.
Yeah, somebody's got to buy the top. And with the credibility of like nation states, Trump talking about it, that might finally get them over the edge.
I know my mom started getting more interested in it, but my dad I think he still thinks it's a scam. And I don't ever like go out of the way to try to tell him it's not and whatnot. So I'm done. I don't really push financial advice on anybody. So if anyone thinks that this is financial advice, it's not. I have a normal day job. I haven't made millions of dollars. I just enjoy doing this. I like charting. I've always liked charting. And
for sure. And just for the viewers out there, none of this is financial advice, but it's cool to hear different perspectives. And then you do have some great charts that you've shared. So we can discuss those, your kind of expectations, but don't worry, people know this is just our opinions, and obviously you should do your own research and all of that. That's that good stuff. Do you have a way to share your screen on here, potentially?
I don't know. How do I do it on here? I've never been on this.
Oh, sorry. So like this is StreamYard. If you look at the bottom, it should say share screen if you're on a computer, or present.
Yeah, I see present.
Yeah, so if you do, if available, that'd be awesome. If not, I can pull up the charts on my end. But if you feel comfortable doing it on your end, that'd be cool too. The way I thought.
No, I could do it.
Okay.
I could share screen. Hang on. It's saying something about 2 windows. Hang on.
Okay. I thought we'd start by looking at kind of higher time frame stuff. Maybe with Bitcoin. I'm curious as to your thoughts on where we're at currently in this current market bull cycle. With Bitcoin specifically, you know, kind of looking at how far we have to go, how you look at time as far as market cycles go, how that relates to the typical altcoin seasons we see, and where we're at, you know, today. I know Rickus has been super accurate the last couple of years, and so I'm curious to see if your thoughts kind of align with his for market cycle top timings, and then we'll get into the Litecoin lower time frame, higher time frame charts, if that's okay.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're having Rick on. I've talked to Rick for a couple years now, and we share a lot of the same opinion, but he goes into way more depth and analyzes all sorts of things. And
Yeah, like
timing. Timing. Generally, we were aligning. Like I was kind of like first quarter next year, but I think he thinks we go a lot lower, and I have like some ridiculous targets, but I also have a realistic target. But I don't think we go as low as at least as what I remember that Rick was expecting. Hey, I'm trying to share the screen.
Oh, okay, yeah, let me add it. Oh, it should pop up on my end. It should say on the bottom here, like once it's shared or once you have it up, I can add it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's saying I'm checking to allow screen system preferences. We'll do this.
And yeah, no worries if it doesn't work out. This community is super supportive, and if we have to go off my screen, that's totally fine. Or I could pull up some of your charts that you posted in the past.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to figure it out.
Oh yeah, no worries. I can talk about some things to the stream right now. I have a question for you though. Do you ever look at fundamentals of assets, or is it primarily technical? I know there's typically just guys that focus only on charts or only on fundamentals. How do you?
Yeah, I primarily focus on technicals. I really don't do much on fundamentals, and I've never cared to. I feel like everything's kind of baked into the chart. You know, you don't need to know what's gonna. But at the same time, like my theory and the reason why I bag held Litecoin, and I don't think it's like a healthy thing to do necessarily, but my theory has been that basically all the coins that ran like crazy in 2017 have kind of been trading sideways. Yeah. And I think that this cycle, like a lot of those coins seem like they're like have solid utility. There's institutional interest. And I feel like these will be the coins that shine this bull run.
Yep.
So that's kind of been my fundamental theory, I guess. But outside of that, it's just been technicals.
Yeah, I kind of find convergence between the technicals and fundamentals. So I take the same view that a lot of these coins that pumped in 2017 and had these extended consolidation periods, they really shaked out weak hands. Really, you're only left with like convicted holders and then users of the network. So if the network's actually getting adopted, you have those, such that you have like this supply constriction. And so like an equivalent amount of money going into Litecoin or something like Solana, it's going to push up Litecoin price way more, just because it's a relatively lower market cap asset. It didn't pump in 2021, whereas Solana did. So you have a lot of all-time high buyers that are going to try to exit, versus XRP Litecoin that really only have people convicted, holders that aren't willing to sell. And so if people are taking this shotgun approach to buying multiple cryptocurrencies, if they're buying the same amount indiscriminately of multiple, the ones that didn't do well in 2021 should pump way harder. That's at least my way of thinking about it. But it looks like I have your screen. I just added you to the stage here, so we can see your screen now, showing your Twitter or your X.
Is it showing my X right now?
Yeah, it's showing your X page right now. It might be your other screen.
Oh
That
shit. Hang on.
no worries.
Yeah, I can't log in there. Sorry, I think let me hit. It's on my. I downloaded Chrome for this.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, let me try to share here. I think I gotta hit stop sharing.
Yeah, that's okay.
Let's go to this again. Oh, it has to be a Chrome tab, huh?
I don't know why that is. I've always just used Chrome, so I didn't know that, but it might have to be in Chrome.
Yeah, let
I'm
me try
not
to pull
sure
it up.
actually. I
It's
just
like
started streaming too. It says
my
what?
sign-in is my Google, and I don't remember it. Hang on.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, I'm super new and I've always just used Chrome, and I think the StreamYard platform's pretty basic.
Yeah.
So I gotta upgrade to something else in the future. But yeah, I actually did try to use Safari with this early on, and it made me switch.
Okay, I think I got it.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, products. Did you buy your Trading View again for what was it, the Black Friday deal?
Oh, I didn't even know about that. I just have a subscription. I didn't know there was a discount, but so no,
It's
I didn't.
discounted every year, and I forget every year to do it. And I finally did it this year and saved some money. Oh shit!
Oh, nice.
And I got offered, what is that other? Alpha Trends? They offered me like their broker to use, but I never really got the hang of it.
I see. Yeah, but I've only ever known TradingView. I've
I
seen
used
that
to
other.
use Thinkorswim back in the day, so I don't know if you ever used that. It was TD Ameritrade's broker. I really like that one.
Oh, I see. There was Thinkorswim that I was using. I forget which platform that was, but
Yeah, that's what I use. Thinkorswim.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it was Ameritrade's platform, I believe,
I
and I think
see.
they're gone now. So
Yeah, TradingView is much easier, more simple for everyone, but you lose some of the advanced features. But I can see your screen now. It looks like we have XRP chart up.
okay, all right. Let's see.
So
All right, so go ahead.
maybe we could start with like your higher time frame view on Bitcoin, because I've seen you post some cool charts there. I think Bitcoin's a good reference for looking at cycle top projections, where we're at in the cycle, Bitcoin dominance versus alt season. You know, kind of. I was thinking that it's usually like 3-4 weeks after Bitcoin convincingly clears its prior all-time high that we typically see rotation, and it looks like that's what we're witnessing now. So what are your expectations on the higher time frames for Bitcoin going forward into next year? See that channel.
Yeah, this is actually what scares me, and I know it scares a few people, but it's kind of ridiculous. This is why I kind of don't view it as anything kind of valid, is because we've been kind of trading and bouncing up against it, and it still has showed some respect to it, and you can see, look where we're at right now, barely
Yeah,
kind of
like right
lagging in front of it.
for
Yeah, but I
sure.
always thought it was interesting because say it like this, and then let's pull up. I'm gonna pull up Bitfinex. So same kind of thing with this. Same, I believe it was 2014 lows. Let's pull it up. That's not it, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
If you see similar kind of thing, broke below, and we kind of were trading above where Bitcoin was trading below, and we kind of popped back up, and now we're back in it. So I'm not sure. I know when it broke down from here, I legit got worried. Like this whole dump right here, I legit got worried for Litecoin. I thought it might be breaking down, whatever. But we kind of pumped back in, and hopefully we hold.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, you want. So for the longest time, Yeah, I hate it. I hate looking at it, honestly. It kind of freaks me out a bit.
Well,
So for this, basically, for a long time, I used time as an indicator too, but for the
mhm,
longest time, I was pretty obsessed with this as far as cycles goes. And time aligned when I did use it, but
mhm.
right now, I mean, technically, it still could be that this is another thing that's weird right here is we're actually line those. It still technically could be in play, but what it would have to do would be super ridiculous for it to hit those targets.
Yeah, so based on previous cycles, like
It
the fib extensions and time, it would
right.
have.
So if you look, yeah, it would. I think it's. I had like the first or second week of February where price would top out.
I see.
Um, Here, let me do this too.
I know there's some theories going around, like Tony the Bull shared, of potentially topping around Inauguration Day. So that kind of aligns. But
Yeah.
price would, to reach those targets would, yeah, need to go straight up. Seems unlikely.
Right. So, this. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I figure if anyone's watching anyway, so I like to see how I drew it. So why not
Oh, for
draw it on
sure. Yeah.
screen?
Thanks for doing it live. No worries on like taking time or anything. Everyone's just
Chilling.
chilling. Yeah.
Dang it. Doesn't matter. Let's go. That's crazy that you moved to Puerto Rico mainly for the bull run. That's admirable.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a risk, but I felt like it was a risk worth taking, considering how large I thought this crypto bubble would be this cycle. I was thinking it'd be on par with 2017,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like that might end up being the case here in the coming months.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I talked with Rick and Steve, like Decode Jar on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
a lot about throughout the years. Mainly Rick about the similarities between now and 2017. I mean, if it really is kind of uncanny if you just even pull up the fibs. Like for example, let's go. Something I've been watching for a while, and it was something where I was really dialed in,
Mm-hmm.
really accurate on the way up, because it was following the fibs so well, and it was following the exact price action. Like you can see 2017 right here. You can see we kind of ran up to the 50 and traded sideways, right?
Mm-hmm.
50, 3.8, kind of made some sort of flag and then broke up to the 7.8, right?
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but same kind of thing. 50, 3.8. We did some
Yep.
type of ugly pattern and it broke up to the 7.8, 7.8 down. And then we even
Yep.
see we came down there just similar here.
Consolidation. Yeah. Right.
So yeah, and then if you look at this, as far as what we did in this cycle, we ran the 1.4 first, came down to the 1.2, a little bit lower, ran the 1.6, came down to 1.4, and then we ran the 2.72.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is kind of how you count where we topped. It's either we topped here in, what is this, April 21, or we
Mm-hmm.
topped at the slightly higher at 69K in November 21, right? So if you draw the fibs, you get different prices.
Mm-hmm.
All the different prices it's like when I draw this and I'm comparing it, that's off the technical high. But if I drew the technical high, we wouldn't have had as good of confluence here with the 2017 cycle, like we did in in November. So, but see if I pull this now, and this is good because we topped at 69, and if we ran this a little hard, the 2.272, it would be like 420, which I think would be perfect.
Yeah, it would follow nearly identical. That would be a crazy.
That'd be a meme, right?
Rally. Yeah.
But if I move that to the recent high, like all the other ones, not the actual high, not that slightly lower high, you can see we pulled perfectly back. I mean, you see, we showed more confluence with the real high, the most recent high, and we pretty much dead on retraced to the 786. And now, like So if we look at these fibs, which is kind of what I posted a chart, I don't know where we were, somewhere around here, maybe like somewhere near the lows when I first kind of came up with this theory. We're basically here, I didn't even explain it, sorry. We're basically like each cycle, if I run the fib high to low, we ran the 2.72 and topped.
Yeah.
So this cycle high, low, 2.72 topped. This gets tricky too, because if I'm viewing it as what I actually view it as is two separate cycles, and I think we've only had two full cycles of crypto, and within it we've had two individual, or you can count it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right?
Yeah.
And then so it ends. You can see I drew the channel. It kind of breaks and follows it up and hits the 2.72 and never breaks back into that same channel and tops. And then now if I run this and I run the high and low, let me do this.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that idea that we've had two cycles, one that started from inception to 2017 and another one that started basically 2018 to through the end of this cycle. But yeah, I can see where you have two separate like mini cycles within those. Yeah,
so if we topped here, 2.72 came down, and that was at, say, the end of this first cycle. And then now we have a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5. And we're in theory, we would same thing as 2017. You know, we're trading very much like 2017. So if we ran the same thing, that's actually based off the actual high, not the previous high right there. But it's the same thing where we'd run the 2.72. And like I was kind of getting at earlier, where we came back, hit the 786, if I draw it from the high, not the slightly lower high. Because this one, watch, this is why I think the resistance we're actually at is kind of like a nothing burger. Because I think that this is the 1.272 from that first high, which we were trading similar to originally, but I think we respected these fibs coordinates on that pullback once we broke the high more than these, and we also respected that high more than that. So I'm not really looking at, see if I pull this. I think this is kind of a nothing burger. Yeah, see a 1.272. That's what we're kind of stalling out right here. But I don't really view that, because like I said, how we ran last cycle, we've done it pretty closely so far, all the way up to the high and even down to the retracement to the 786. We kind of did a little weird, but it's somewhat similar. I view more like I'm paying more attention to these fibs, to these coordinates. So like the 1.272, the 1.4. So that's why personally I think we're going to run up here towards the 1.414 before retracing the 1. Right, and then same thing, I think the 1.6, the 1.4, and then ultimately that one. But I have a hard time, as most should, thinking that Bitcoin's going to go that parabolic. But if I'm going based on what's treated me so well this year, which is it's been acting exactly like 2017, and if you look at it in past cycles, if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, each top has been the 2.272. Like outside of me just being like realistic in my head, there's nothing that points towards us not actually going up to run that 2.272 again. But if we did that, I mean, the prices in some of these especially these ones that you like, I like, a lot of these Dino coins, it should just go ballistic, you know?
For sure, 100%. Yeah, that would be the most insane crypto mania ever. I wouldn't count it out. I mean, I think anything's possible. I mean, if you really do see this mania among nation states to buy Bitcoin, and it gets a lot of normal people, like retirement customers, to start allocating, there's a lot of money out there in equities that can rotate. And given how illiquid the supply is in the crypto markets, you know, it wouldn't shock me. It'd still be like insane, but
right. Anything's possible, I guess. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, I'm not going to count on that playing out. I will be taking profits, but you know, should it happen, I guess I'll keep like a moon bag just in case.
Yeah, I think that's That's wise.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to show us on the Bitcoin chart? What's your like lower time frame expectation or view currently? You're kind of saying there's not much resistance where we're at on the higher time frames. So do you expect continuation pretty soon?
Yeah, like if I pull up the Fib channel here, you can see we've been respecting this pretty well since the coordinates came here. So all the rest of this price section from here on aligns with the Fib channel, right? You can see we came down, came up, tried to hold, broke down, held the 786, kind of bounced against it, broke it, ran the 382, and now we ran it and officially pushed past it. And it looks like
testing as support almost.
Yeah, on a smaller time frames, it looks like it's kind of doing some sort of flag or something like that above it. But if you look at this, it is a big level. So we came here, we almost touched it here, we bounced. It was a big breakdown when we broke it. We couldn't break it last time. And now we broke it, and then we may be doing some type of consolidation above it.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's similar to in 2021 where it well, I guess that was the higher. That was 238, 236.
Right.
But you could see extension. What's the upper side of that? The next.
What, like the top
line above? The next
line?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's ascending. Yeah, but I mean, I would just say like kind of what we're expecting to run for the 1.4. So you could say if we kind of go parabolic and we run it this month, then it's just say 130s, somewhere above the 1.4. But then that's where I'd kind of expect
pullback.
Yeah, basically something, we kind of flag a little bit, pump, come back, and it would just be something ridiculous,
For sure.
And then maybe the people think that, it's a new paradigm, and then we come back a bit.
Yeah, come all the way back down.
Yeah.
Yeah, super interesting. If this does play out, what would your view be on the altcoin market? Say Bitcoin does rally to 130K like this month. Would you think Bitcoin dominance trends higher, or do you think that would be bullish for some of these alts?
Oh crap. I have a Mac, and every time it does this, I get confused. Hey, how do I unzoom out with the mouse? Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. No worries.
How do I unzoom out?
Maybe if you command negative, it might unzoom out. I have a Mac too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, so if you hit like command and then the minus sign, it should zoom out. Potentially. Maybe not.
No,
on my
that
Mac.
wasn't me. That's my wife kind of touching it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not used to Macs as much. Oh, okay.
Gotcha, no worries. Perfect.
I think that worked.
Yeah, it's better now. So yeah, I guess my question was, if this does play out, so we see continuation of Bitcoin to the upside this month, what would you think it does for altcoins? I know a lot of altcoins are in different positions now, but maybe specifically to Litecoin, if Bitcoin does make this move. How do you read the Litecoin chart?
I'm sorry. Now I did this, and I can't get out of this, or I can't actually scroll up and down, to zoom in or out.
Yeah, it's still slightly zoomed in. It seems like.
Yeah. Let me just keep trying. No, I'm just messing everything up.
I can look it up too. Let's see. How to zoom out back and trading view. It says press option command minus sign. Or option command 8. It says option command minus and it should zoom out. I don't know, that's what Google says. Or option command 8.
I do this sometimes and I just close everything out because I don't even know how to do it.
Oh, if you want to do that, that's fine too. If you want me to remove it and then add you again so you don't share the background, I could do that too.
Sure, let's do that.
Okay, I just removed you from the stage so we can't see anything.
Okay. What the heck? Well,
Yeah, someone,
here. Sorry, let me share, Jim.
okay. Someone in the comments said there's a hedge fund guy who runs Canary Capital at the Litecoin conference and was talking about his price targets of roughly 450K. So I wonder if he was using the same kind of
Oh,
analysis.
no kidding. That
Yeah.
Canary Capital is the one that's doing the Litecoin ETF and Solana.
Yeah.
A couple other, right? XRP.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name. Someone in the comments could let me know, but
All right. So you wanted to know what I thought Litecoin would do?
yeah, so based on like current price action and maybe in confluence with your expectation for Bitcoin, on the like higher time frames first, I guess what your perspective is here.
Okay. Let's see. Again, I deleted everything. If you look, something kind of weird, but we've always kind of ran the 1.4. I don't know if you noticed that too, even here. So if we're viewing it like, if I'm viewing it similar to the way I'm viewing Bitcoin in cycles, which don't know if we should. Let's see. I don't think we can do it, but that would be like in crypto. That's the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'd have that 5 or whatever.
And based on those like fib extensions, are there price targets similar to what you were doing with Bitcoin?
Yeah, here I'll just chart it out so you know what I'm looking for.
Oh, okay. Have you taken like the full context of the Litecoin price history? There's one exchange that shows all the way back to inception. I don't know if you've looked at that one.
No, I thought Bitfinex was the farthest back you could go.
There's one other, but it's okay. I can show it to you another time. It's like one small exchange. I used to have it saved. I can look at it real quick. Let's see.
Is some random one down here?
Yeah, it's like F. I think it starts with an F. Oh no, it's Vantage. So if you scroll down, it's like the 20th one on there. The exchange is Vantage.
Oh, wow, dude! I never seen this.
So like you can see the entire price history of Litecoin.
Okay, no, I haven't. But that would, I guess, that would affect. For me, that would only affect if you really wanted to, say, run a fib extension from, say, the base to here, which I've never done because I've never had that. Let me extend everything.
Yeah, and maybe the early price action, since it's only on one exchange, isn't legit. I don't know. It's tough when you have these cryptocurrencies that start from zero to really look at extension.
Yeah, no, I know. I think, what is it? The index added a ton of information randomly, which is the same kind of, added more basically of this, which I didn't find much use for technically. I mean, I feel like I'd only find more use for it if I'm running fib extensions like that. But even then, I'm not real interested in that. So like, what I think might be the most important would be these fib extensions.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people are worried about topping out at, say, $700-800 because there's a lot of confluence here. So let's go. You gotta do both. So I'll do this. We've been hitting that. I was hoping this wasn't going to be an issue, the 618. I still don't really think it's going to be. But you can see a lot of confluence already with these two coordinates of the 786.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking we're going to top out there, but I also thought XRP was going to top out there. And we kind of just flushed right towards the all-time high on XRP.
Yep. And
so
XLM too.
Yeah, exactly. So that may be the case, but at the same time, I'm not really looking to take profit here.
For sure.
And maybe a little bit at the highs. But the biggest thing I'm worried about would be the 1.72 of the 618 or up here. And it's the same thing. Hang on. Because I don't know which fibs are going to be the most important. I kind of watch all of them and kind of look for clusters.
For sure, that makes
So
sense.
there's a huge cluster here.
It's hard to
1.1
see what level
kilometers
is that.
big.
It's like the $700, $800 level. That
Let's see.
first cluster.
I don't know how it looks on the screen. Can you not read it?
I just
'Cause I'm
can't read
so
this
zoomed in.
on the right side.
This
Like
is
what the price level is. The 1272 or 1618.
this is a 0.618, which is
Okay.
826, and 1.272, which is 796. And this is again
Okay.
the 1.272. But
Gotcha.
hang on, let me pull everything back how I had it. I'll just keep the lines I think are relevant.
Oh my.
Yeah, so for the most part, I think we either run up here on the next move, and I don't know if it's, yeah, we're tracing quite a bit now. It's a big wick already on the, is this weekly? 2 week? Let me go to 1 week.
And this Vantage, for some reason, has like slightly lower prices than all the other exchanges. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, let me go back to the bit next.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. What do you have as your target?
I'm not too. I don't know how far this will extend, so I don't have like specific price targets. Maybe I could share my screen and give you my perspective, like so I could show the chart and what I'm looking at afterwards, after you're done sharing. But mine's more based on time, so similar to Rickus's idea and thesis. I think Bitcoin and Litecoin will top out around the same time, as they have done that every cycle. And I still am convinced that Litecoin's going to be one of the top performers. It is lagging a bit, which is kind of concerning, but I think if we're able to make this move above this level of resistance that we rejected at here just recently, that we'll see a pretty dramatic rise. Kind of the first level you pointed out there,
Yeah.
like 185, 190, and then we'll see if we can break 2 all-time highs, and then I'll have more confidence that we're going much higher in the final parabolic rise. But I'm kind of waiting to see what happens. And I can show you some things on my screen in a sec, and get your perspective on my analysis.
Okay, yeah, I think if you look at, say, the ones that have been consolidating kind of sideways since 2017, and as far as like the potential targets, if you measure everything out, the ones that have had the biggest potential returns have been the first movers, like XRP,
Yeah.
XLM, Doge, and it makes sense. And for me, I'm surprised Litecoin started this leg. I was kind of thinking BCH would go first, so I kind of rolled when we're down here. During this whole area, I was trading a lot. I was trading a lot of BCH, and I did a lot better than holding the Litecoin. And same thing, kind of through this whole area, I was trading Doge too. And I'm not surprised Doge went first, but I am surprised that we made this move up here before BCH.
I see.
Yeah, I kind of want to buy BCH.
Gotcha.
But yeah, as far as targets go, on what you mentioned, I do think we either potentially run the 786, so somewhere in this area, from anywhere from 200 to say 250. I think that's what's next. I think it's going to happen relatively soon. I'm not expecting a pullback down to back to 100 or any of that. I'm expecting a pretty quick impulsive move up to here, at least up to here. But whether we run near the highs like the other Dino coins, I'm not sure. You know, if we do run up here, I'll probably take some off. But if we run to basically, I think my main target, I didn't pull up that chart for Bitcoin, is basically what would line up here. And I think that's basically if we ran
say what is it, about 220, 250 for Bitcoin, I think we end up topping up here in this cluster. So anywhere from 1,800 to say 2,400 bucks. And I think if we go exponential, then it gets real tough. I mean, I don't think we're running the top of this channel. Yeah, I don't think we're doing that. But I do think that it's somewhere, it could be 4,000 or 5,000. I don't know. I don't even want to say it because I really don't think it's going to happen. Like, so I think for the most part, I really think we're going to kind of top out in this range. And I am worried about, I didn't pull it up on this chart, but between 700 and 800 bucks, there's a lot of resistance. So I am really worried about that area the most. And I think we'll make it there, at least make it there this cycle. But hopefully we can make it here.
If we make it there rather quickly or faster than you would anticipate, would that give you more confidence that we're going much higher? So if Litecoin, for some reason, makes a move faster than XRP, actually breaks the all-time high in the next couple of weeks, would that flip your bias to...
Yeah, no, it would. It would. Like I said, it's similar timeline where I've been worried about the first quarter of next year. That if we blast it off before then, I don't think, all of a sudden we're going to top or that's it for Litecoin. I just think that it's, we do have a better chance of just getting this explosive move like we did in 2017.
For sure. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for too. I'm waiting for the next few weeks to play out to give me some sort of confidence on expectations for a top. But I think the next few weeks are pretty key, or next month at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow time as much as I've done a little work with time. Like say as much as say you or Rick, I've done a little bit of work with time. But like I said before, I just would be shocked if we ran that move like I'm expecting up in February. Because similar to the 2.272, I don't know if I have the chart somewhere. It's actually pinned on my page. But similar to the 2.272, we also ran the time-based fib. Perfect. Almost every cycle. We started just running a little 2 weeks back on Bitcoin. But that ends for me in like the second week of February. But to hit the 2.272
that quickly,
that quickly, I kind of stopped believing it would. The odds of it happening were very high considering we were running out of time. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think the longer it doesn't rally and time goes on and others rally, the less confidence I'd have. But I think I'm highly confident that we will make a decent move here. I just don't know how extreme. I could share some things on my chart, show you what I've been looking at.
Here, let me stop sharing.
Okay. So I do kind of take a fundamental approach as well as technical. So I'm trying to just look at all sorts of information. I know sometimes that can be misleading, or you don't really want to get attached to fundamental narratives. And the charts, sometimes depict reality better than the ability for your mind to comprehend all the variables involved with fundamentals. The first thing that I'd been looking at, and I actually got interested in Litecoin in 2017 after the scaling debate.
What's that?
Around that. So basically, there's a scaling debate around Bitcoin back in 2017 when blocks started to become full. Basically, fees were rising because there's all this transactional demand for Bitcoin, such that there was this argument around how to scale the chain, and that's why you got the Bitcoin Cash fork. There's half of the community basically supported Roger Ver to increase block sizes, so he forked Bitcoin, created Bitcoin Cash, and then there's this other half, like the small blockers, that wanted to keep the network decentralized, wanted to keep the cost of running a node low. And so basically they were arguing, no, let's keep the blocks low and just scale through credit layers. I thought both of those wouldn't work. I thought ultimately what you'd see from a fundamental view, if these monies were going to be adopted, was just multiple iterations of Bitcoin. And Litecoin's basically the same thing as Bitcoin. There's some small differences. It does have a privacy feature now, but in terms of security model, value prop, it's almost identical. And so what I thought you would see was if demand continued for Bitcoin, you would just naturally see Litecoin become monetized because it was the oldest chain, most similar to Bitcoin. So this is Bitcoin transaction fees in purple and Litecoin transactions. I wish I could delete the price. But every time Bitcoin fees rise, you see monetization of Litecoin. Fees rose in 2021, and it kind of holds the bear market lows every time. So you see network activity increase, and then people don't go back to Bitcoin after fees go down. They just stay on Litecoin. So outside of the speculative market, for the actual monetary adoption side of these chains, Litecoin's grown pretty dramatically through these cycles and held the bear market lows, which tells me that there's actually fundamental, real economic demand for this chain. So from the fundamental side of things, that was what I was thinking in 2017 was most likely. And I think based on the data I have, Lightning Network didn't see much adoption. Bitcoin Cash, maybe from a technical perspective, is interesting. But if you compare like network stats from Bitcoin Cash to Litecoin's about 10x higher in terms of actual like monetary adoption. You can see that in any like public data provider. This is a free one, but Litecoin's doing about 200,000 real transactions a day, where Bitcoin Cash is doing about 20,000. But Bitcoin Cash still has a lead in market cap, and that's primarily because this market's still so speculative, and Litecoin's being monetized at low value ranges such that it doesn't really increase the price. But what was interesting in my kind of hindsight analysis for trying to understand why Litecoin prices struggled, you can also see miner reserve stats for all these proof of work chains, and basically miners in 2021 started dumping heavily. So this takes like all of the Coinbase rewards, looks at every mining pool, and determines how many coins the miners actually hold. Litecoin has the lowest degree of miner reserves of any proof of work chain by far, and I saw the most significant selling over the last few years, such that this network activity and transactional chart typically tracked price since all the way back to like 2011, since the launch, and then diverged in 2021. And
real quick,
yeah,
when did Doge like merge mine or whatever with Litecoin?
I think that was pretty early on. It was when Dogecoin they were worried about it dying. I don't remember the exact date. Maybe somebody in the chat can provide me with that date. But if you compare Dogecoin's transaction stats to Litecoin 2, it does about 1/10, even though the market cap's 10x higher. And primarily, again, this market's highly narrative and speculative driven. But even in 2020, 2021, I saw the same thing. And actually, one of our friends in the chat, Master, took a position in Doge because he saw network activity diverging from price. And I know a lot of people thought it was just Elon and narratives of that degree. But it was diverging from, price was diverging from its network activity. And then you saw eventually supply constriction, Elon pumping it. And you saw this crazy like positive feedback loop of demand. But it's interesting to me from a fundamental standpoint, knowing where demand will ultimately come from and how well this has tracked price for so long, except for the last 3-4 years. And so you finally saw like capitulation from miners, for whatever reason, have dumped all of their supply, such that you have this building supply constriction. And should transactional demand increase or speculative demand, I've never seen an asset that has this degree of divergence and sort of supply constriction you can see on chain, which makes me think the move will be rather aggressive. From like a technical perspective, I found a similar setup, and I don't know what you think of this, but let me delete this stuff off the chart real quick. I see the price structure is very similar to what happened in XRP in 2015 through 2017. So you had this 85% drawdown from the highs, followed by like 2 years of sideways. The structure and like fib retracement levels within this small range are almost identical to what Litecoin did in the past like 2 years. So you had a move to the highs, retracement back to the mid-range, a second move to the range highs, followed by retracement all the way to the 786, and then you had this vertical expansion. Basically, the XRP went on a 900x rally after that. And then the same thing kind of happened with Doge last cycle.
I've seen a lot of people compare that. Was it Pipa or something like that? Is that video of, I forget his name, Pipa or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Following. But he did a video of like, I think it was a similar fractal of Doge and Litecoin.
And then even if you take like, so this long-term downtrend broke out. This is XRP again, I forgot.
Yeah, that looks like Litecoin, yeah.
Yeah, you broke out and then you retested this level. It was actually kind of forming a descending wedge here before finally breaking out, before it made that vertical move. Now, if we pull up the Doge chart.
That's crazy. Yeah, because that's the exact kind of move Litecoin's doing right now, too.
Yeah, it's almost the same. I don't really like fractals, but it's tracked so well, it's hard to ignore. So very similar thing. If you take the outside of this COVID wick down, basically had the same kind of 2-year sideways with similar retracements on these Fibonacci levels before that expansion. Even had like similar kind of descending wedge pattern before the expansion. You had like 100x plus rally here. But for Litecoin as well, it did the same thing. So like 85% drawdown from the prior high, 88%, and then 2.5 years of sideways. But the same retracement levels came into play. Same sort of long-term consolidation. Finally broke out in March, then retested multiple times, broke out of this descending wedge, and now we're on the expansion phase. It's taken a little bit longer, but given the miner reserves being like, this is the most illiquid coin that I've seen since I've been tracking this since 2017, and it's one of the only chains that actually has consistent growing transaction activity despite price going sideways. Usually you only see coins increase in network activity when the price goes up because people are spending them. You're seeing more coins move to and from exchanges, trading speculative hands. So it's an interesting setup. I can't find other charts that look like this. I mean, maybe XLM. But from the fundamental standpoint and then the technical kind of price structure, it makes me think that we're going to see a similar move in Litecoin. And my fundamental thesis really is that Litecoin's the second Bitcoin chain. It's just not recognized. The sentiment's almost the opposite, right? Through this range, people thought it was a dead chain, it was useless, but it's actually seeing high levels of monetary growth, and really it comes from high Bitcoin fees. So if we see a move like you were expecting, or that potential vertical parabolic rise, I know where Bitcoin transaction distribution sits. There's so many transactions underneath $10,000 and less, where people are actually using Bitcoin as money. And those have the potential to be priced out if you see like these 25 million private wallets start trying to send coins to exchanges at the same time. So you can see a vertical rise in the fee level for Bitcoin, and Litecoin, given that historical correlation, can take on all that network activity into the most restricted supply environment it's ever had.
That's true.
And when you have a kind of a speculative bubble where there might be a lot of speculative demand for Litecoin, if people start to coalesce around that psychology that it really is a second Bitcoin.
Yeah, like the silver to Bitcoin's gold.
Yeah, silver to Bitcoin's gold kind of. That narrative existed before, but you could see that kind of resurge. And yeah, really all the coins are held up by long-term holders that I don't think are too keen on breaking free from those coins or selling them below all-time highs. But on the short-term timeframes, I tend to just agree with you. I won't go into that. I think, yeah, somewhere around 180, 200 is the next resistance. If you look at the XLM chart, I don't know if you've looked at this fractal, but
yeah, I like it. Not fractal, but I like it. XLM. I like all those, like Link, Dot.
So, yeah, they all look pretty similar. XLM, when it was breaking out, it kind of did the exact same thing that Litecoin's doing right now. This horizontal
what's that level? The yellow
horizontal resistance line is where it broke down from in March of 2022. That's where Litecoin just struggled around 130. It took like 3 tests of this level to really break through. 1, 2, 3, and then it retested before it ran to all-time highs. And Litecoin's kind of doing the same thing right now. So if I draw that same resistance horizontally, right around here, the structure is almost identical too, right? This is kind of the first move up, didn't quite break it. I mean, broke, but broke back under, and now it rejected. If we can break back up, tested as support, I think we make a similar move to XLM. So that's what I'm watching on the shorter term time frames. I just want to see what happens these next few weeks. If Bitcoin holds up and we're bullish here, run to above 100K, I do think it's likely that Litecoin at least has a chance to run to all-time highs like XLM.
Okay, so what's your timing though? Is that similar to Rickus?
Similar to Rickus, yeah. I've been thinking that based on where we're at in regards to Bitcoin, typically, you have three. If we take the 2017 high, like you have these 3 or 4 green weekly candles, this convincing move above all-time highs. That's typically when you start to see rotation to altcoins, and we topped. A lot of people consider this a May top to be the cycle top with a slight deviation above the highs. But usually the biggest moves in altcoins happen in that first start of capital rotation in altcoins. So like we just did that here with breaking the all-time high level a few weeks ago after the election, and Bitcoin dominance just started to roll over. So far it's doing the same thing. We're starting to see rotation in altcoins. And if we take the same time length, like 120 days, we're in like March of 2025, late March. It could be different, but same thing happened in 2017, where the vast majority of altcoin gains came roughly 120 days after this Bitcoin dominance rolled over. So that early, like late February to summer rally was when XRP made an ADX move. Litecoin ran up to like $60 from $4. And so all I'm hoping to do is catch that first major rotation and not necessarily bet on further continuation out longer in the year. But I really want to see this move aggressively in the next few weeks.
Okay, so no price targets. You just
yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting if you take like the log-based Fibonacci from like XRP and compare it. I don't know if you ever use these like log-based Fibonacci extensions, but
I pretty much only use log. I know people say that you should only use linear, but I've used log and I've done well, so I don't know.
Basically, I take the 2014 high to the 2015 low. It almost ran to the 1618, then the 2618, and then exactly the 3618 for that move that XRP had, which was similar structure to Litecoin. Doge, if you do the same thing, it's very similar. I don't know if I'd take this high, and I'd exclude the dumping, but it's similar, right? This move to the 1618 and then very close to the 2618. If you do the same thing for Litecoin, 2021 I don't think was a true blow off in crypto either. It was kind of a muted cycle double top. But if you did the same exact move for Litecoin, it comes up with crazy price targets. So the 1618 is 1500, 2618 is at 13,000. If we have a true blow off and really Bitcoin fee levels go to the levels I imagine they do, and I have high confidence that they will because of how many cold storage stackers there are that haven't really moved coins. So if you look at on-chain analysis, really the recent selling in Bitcoin has been low amount of coin days destroyed, meaning the people who have sold have been people who bought around here. They haven't held on to the coins very long. And so if I check the mempool stats, really what I'm seeing is not that much transaction activity. Fees are rising, but not to the levels I'd expect in like a blow off. So I'm still thinking we have that. And once all these hodlers start to move coins, I think we're going to see fee levels go way higher than the all-time high level. And if that correlation to Litecoin transaction activity holds, there's like $1 to $3 billion worth of transaction volume underneath 10K that can be ported to Litecoin, which given NVT ratios, generally coins move about 1% of their total transaction volume a day on chain. So that $1 to $3 billion represents like $100 to $300 billion in market cap to whichever chain captures that demand, if that does happen at a time when supply is so restricted. So those price targets sound insane, but I can see the environment and narrative change that could cause that type of crazy price rally, if that makes sense. I know the fundamental stuff is kind of laughed at sometimes, but I still like to understand what's driving network adoption, even though most of this market's speculative, and the reason they're pumping is you're just seeing a ton of money flood into crypto, and the crypto market's so small in size relative to global equities. But yeah, that's kind of my view. Similar on the shorter term time frames to yours, but I have this fundamental thesis.
Yeah, it's not stuff that I follow, but
Mhm.
I respect a lot of people, and everyone has their own way of doing things. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I don't know who's right or who's wrong. There's no way of knowing. So
Yeah,
I'll do
100%.
the
Well, cool. I
Bitcoin
appreciate you
Cash.
listening to me rant.
Yeah.
You can check out other charts too if you're interested. If you had anything else you wanted to share, I just wanted to get your 2 cents on
Let me think.
my analysis there.
I don't know if there's much to share. Let me look at my chart.
Okay. I think we're pretty much in alignment with the higher time frame Bitcoin and larger picture of things. Litecoin short term seems pretty much the same. It's just I think we can have a crazy, unprecedented, historic type of move that I think will
Or
be
is something kind of resembling XRP and XLM as far as breaking up towards the highs?
Well, my other thoughts too is that XRP and XLM moved so much. There's so much. Like XRP is such a higher market cap than LTC. It had a 1000x move basically in 2017, and Litecoin didn't have. It was like 100x from the March lows. And I typically see just like I see that previous cycle winners tend to be coins you don't want to own because you run into this all-time high resistance where there's so many top buyers that want to get out at break even. With Litecoin, you've already had a cycle of underperformance and transactional demand go up 10x since the last cycle. So I think there's just not many people that are willing to part with their coins, such that if the demand comes in, it can move vertically. But yeah, things like Solana, I'm not that bullish on just because they ran so hard with Bitcoin early.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of coins that are already deep into their final waves, and we got a lot of stagnant coins that historically run late that are early on in their moves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think some people are chasing strength. Well, the people that did chase strength, I think there's a lot of people getting caught by surprise as far as all the Dino coins moving, and there's a lot of hate for. Jeez, there's a ton of hate for XRP. There's going to be
don't own it.
right. There's going to be even more hate if Litecoin pulls a move up towards the highs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that people are positioned for any of it.
For sure.
Especially
and I think
a lot of the
OGs. Same thing last cycle. Yeah, a lot of the OGs are not. I think a lot of people rotated into what they perceived as strength after they saw what ran with Bitcoin early, but historically that was the worst move. Like Litecoin ran with Bitcoin early before Doge even moved. Litecoin was up 5x, 6x from the lows, and Dogecoin was still meandering around sideways like Litecoin is this cycle. And then it passed and dramatically outperformed. So we'll see. I think it's weird because history is the same, although people seem to fall into the same psychological traps that they fell in previously.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Cool, man. Well, thanks so much for sharing all this information. I know you said there's not much else to share, so we can kind of wrap it up if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sounds good with me, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thanks so much. Your analysis is, I think, more I think you've been doing this maybe longer than I have. He's very professional. Your historical analysis of Bitcoin is pretty much spot on. I hadn't seen that before, so that's super interesting. If you guys,
I don't normally do long-term charts. I started doing that maybe about a year ago or two, but normally I just do short-term stuff. And normally I'm most accurate doing short-term stuff, say the hourly.
Interesting.
Yeah, so longer-term stuff is what I'm trying to adapt to because I didn't want to over trade. But
is that what you did previously at your as a trader in other markets where you mainly trading shorter-term time frames?
Yeah, well, I did everything. I think I did penny stocks at first. I did binary options. I traded just ETFs. I did futures. I did forex. But
Gotcha.
all that was just day trading.
I see. Well, that's cool. If, to be a day trader and actually succeed is insanely hard. So,
Oh yeah, sure.
congrats on that. Well, if you guys haven't followed, go follow Nicholas. It's spelled Nihkalowz on X. Really appreciate having him on and his perspective and using all of his experience to give us some insight. So, thank you, Nick, again. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Well, maybe we can talk again in a few months after this if we can see Litecoin make a break. You know, in the coming weeks, I think it'll be telling. So if you're down to come on again, give your updated thoughts, maybe later on in a few months.
Yeah, I'm up for it. Yeah, I'll try to stay up, but I don't think I'm gonna stay up to see break on. It's like 1 a.m. my time, I think, or something like that. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a nap or something and then get back on at like 4 a.m. my time.
That's all right. That's some commitment.
Oh, do you have any questions that you might want to ask him? I know you guys talk regularly, so probably not. But I was trying to get a list of questions from people, since it's hard to catch him live, and speaking one-on-one is a rare opportunity. But if you have something, you could send it to me later if you can't think of anything now.
Yeah, I don't know. I just, when I talk with him, I've always said that we'll hit at least 420K. But I don't. Yeah, I ask him what his top target is. I think it's like it's gone lower and lower. I think it's like 118 or maybe like 120 now. So yeah, I'd be interested in what his top target is now, because I know he cares more about time, but and ask him why his top target keeps going lower. Ask him that.
Okay, I'll say Nick asks why. Cool. Well, yeah. I'll be sure to ask him that, and then it'll be on YouTube right after I end the live stream. I think it automatically updates, so if you can't catch it, you can
catch it on
watch
YouTube
it later on. Yeah, catch it on YouTube.
All right, sounds good.
All right, man. Well, have a good rest of your night. Thanks so much for the time.
All right, thanks, man. It was good meeting you.
Yeah, good meeting you too. See ya.
Bye.
All right, guys. We got Nick's opinion. His charts they feel sophisticated to me. I think he knows what he's doing. That chart is kind of convincing, how it's followed the structure identically from the last cycle as far as fib extensions and retracements. Thanks, John, for the compliment. What do you guys think? I think his analysis is pretty top-notch. Either way, you're ready, hodling forever. All right, guys, thanks. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. We just started doing these, trying to grow the community here. Get some expert traders on for their opinions and analysis. Got Rickus here in like 5-6 hours or so. So I might check out and then take a nap and get back up and prepare myself to interview the legend that is Rickus. Thanks for subbing, appreciate it. His was very good, yeah, I agree. GG, well played. Like everyone, yeah, please. Thanks, bro. Yeah, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. That was cool. Let's pull this up, and I want to see. We got a decent viewership. I think a lot of people will watch afterwards. This is kind of a, just a weeknight. Yeah, lower time frames. Looks like it rejected. This is the same thing XLM did though, so might have a little bit more time here before we try to break higher. All right, guys. I'll be back in a few hours. See you later. Good night. 3-4 hours.
In a world where digital currencies reign supreme, One cryptocurrency is poised to redefine the game, no? Litecoin's resurrection and resurgence is coming, and the Litecoin forecast is your 24/7 guide to riding this silver surge. Join us as we stream continuously, analyzing every move, discussing macroeconomic trends, what's driving this bull market, what narratives will come into play as we move higher, and what we'll be watching for signs of a broad market top T. The Litecoin forecast illuminating the path to redemption, hosted by Litecoin, joining us now.